Hello folks, this is Duelist speaking. You are listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. It is the start of another set. This is the beginning of set 7.5, known as Uncharted Realms. And so I'm going to do my traditional video here where I do an introduction to Teamfight Tactics. And this video is going to be recorded with the assumption that the person watching has no previous familiarity with Teamfight Tactics. So I'll try to walk through some of the basic concepts, talk a little bit about this game mode, and just go through the action that's in this game. Set 7.5 has actually been out for a couple days now. I think this is about 5 or 6 days after the opening of the set. This video is slightly delayed because my wife and I were celebrating the birth of our first child, so we were obviously a little bit focused on other things, but we're back home now. Everyone is doing well, nice, safe, and sound, and I can get back to some of the normal TFT content that goes up on YouTube. All right, well, as far as introducing Teamfight Tactics, this is a first-person PvP online battle game. The basic concept is you take the champions from normal League of Legends, and then you build a team out of them using the League of Legends characters as kind of your little minions or representatives on the field. And you get to play different numbers of units. They all have different traits associated with them. You try to form the strongest team, and then you battle against the 7 other players in the lobby to see who has the strongest team overall. These games always start out with a couple minion rounds. You start out with an initial carousel where you take a champion with an item that's going to start out as the basis of your team. Then you're going to have a couple rounds where you fight minions, which are, not hard to kill, but basically gives you a chance to fight some enemy unit or fight these minions. They're going to drop more gold, champions, items, and then you got a couple rounds basically to build your team, and then you'll have it face off against the other teams and determine eventually who's the winner of the game. Now, this is a little bit different from a standard game because this is the 2-player mode. This is the co-op mode known as Double Up. I am playing here alongside my partner, JDP El Grillo, and so the two of us are going to be working together in this game. What that means is as the game goes on, if I win around quickly, I'll be able to go and reinforce his board. If he wins around quickly, he'll be able to go and reinforce my board. But of course, that applies to the other teams as well. If the players on the other teams win their rounds quickly, they can come help their partner as well. So that's kind of the basic setup there. We also get something known as an augment choice. You're going to get 3 of them throughout the game. You saw I had a choice to pick between 3 different options. I have chosen to pick something that gives me a Mirage emblem, and that is one of the traits that I'm going to be playing into in this game. So let's cover some of the basic stuff here at the beginning of this video. As I said, you use the League of Legends characters to form a little team. You get to play 1 unit for each level that you are. I'm currently level 4, so that means I get to play 4 units. And I am currently opting to play a trait called Mirage. You can see over there in the left-hand corner, it says I have Mirage 4. This is actually a trait that changes from game to game. There's actually 7 different things that Mirage can be, and it will change from game to game, which is one of the cool things. Add some replayability to Teamfight Tactics. You have this trait that's kind of variable from game to game. But in this particular game, the Mirage trait is called Duelist Dexterity. It is a trait that has returned from a previous set, returned from set 4, if I remember correctly. And it means that each time the Mirage units attack, they stack up additional attack speed. So that is, they will keep attacking faster as the fights go on. And that applies to all units that have the Mirage trait. So as I said, all these different units have traits. You can see in some examples of what some of these traits are at the store down at the bottom of the screen. So in the store, you'll see there's 2 Sennas. Senna's traits are Ragewing Cannoneer. I am not playing Senna right now. I'm playing a bunch of Mirage units. So I'm currently playing Leona, whose traits are Mirage and Guardian. And then I'm also playing a Nunu, who is Mirage plus Cavalier. I just leveled, actually double leveled. It's a very aggressive play to level 5, but that's probably a little bit more advanced than we're going to get into in this video. But I double leveled to level 5, and then I put in a Braum, who's going to give me the Guardian trait, which is a frontline tank trait. It basically means that your tank units will get a shield as when they fight, and so they'll be able to stand up there and soak up damage for the backliners. Another interesting thing is my augment gave me a Mirage emblem. So that was an item that allowed me to turn a unit into Mirage who does not normally have the Mirage trait. And I went ahead and put this on Ezreal, who is not normally a Mirage unit. Ezreal's traits are Tempest plus Swift Shot. So he does not normally have that trait. But I went ahead and put it on him, and he's actually going to be able to make pretty good use of that trait because it's going to give him additional attack speed, which is going to be pretty good on Ezreal. So this is kind of the basic of the game. You know, you see champions in the store, and then you have a chance to buy those champions, and then you get to play however many champions your level is. As I said, I'm currently level 5, so I get to play 5 of those champions. And the goal is you combine these units together, and you try to make a stronger version of these units for your team. Now, one thing that you may have seen if you're watching this video closely is you can combine different versions of the same unit together to star them up into a stronger version of the same unit. So, for example, I found 3 Leonas. Initially, I had the basic Leona, who has Leona 1 star, and then I found 3 of them, and so they combined together into a 2-star version of the unit. As units star up, they get stronger, they get higher base stats, they get more health. They also have their abilities get stronger. Every unit in this game has an ability, and it gets stronger as they level up throughout the game. But you ideally want to try to find your units so you can 2-star them and make them stronger. I also have a 2-star Ezreal, so it's pretty notable which units are 2-starred. They get kind of a little silver icon on them, which indicates whether they are 1-star, 2-star, or the rare 3-star units. Now, you don't see 3-star units that often. They tend to be very powerful if you can find them, but they're difficult to get. You actually need to have 9 copies of the unit to 3-star it. So that is 9 1-star units or 3 2-star versions. So 3, 3, and 3 to make a 3-star version of the unit. There, as I said, they're pretty rare. It's fun when you have them. They get a lot of bonus stats. But generally speaking, it's usually not the most consistent thing to go for them. It's usually better, in most cases, to push to higher levels and play more advanced units, as opposed to sticking to lower levels and trying to find 3-star units. Now, that is not always the case, but that tends to be generally better in the long term. All right, so we, of course, just had another carousel there. This is the basic pattern for Teamfight Tactics. You start out with some minion rounds, and then after that, you're always going to have 3 PvP rounds, and then after that, you are going to have another carousel, and then followed by that, you'll have 2 more PvP rounds, then a minion round, and then the process repeats over and over again. And that pattern will just keep repeating as long as the game goes on. Here in double up mode on stage 2.5 and 2.6, you will get the option to take an item or to take gold. This particular round, I had the option to take either gold or an item, and I chose to take one of the items. I took a tier, which is allowed me to make an item on Ezreal, an Archangel Staff. On the next stage, you will see I will get the opportunity to give Grillo an item for his team. That only applies in the 2-player mode. In co-op, you would not see that in the single-player mode. Usually, it's better to take the gold unless you get an item that's like really good for your comp. But that was not the case here. So I decided that I would not take the gold. I would just take an item that I thought was a good fit for my setup. And so I took the tier and ended up making an Archangel Staff, which is going to give additional ability power to Ezreal over the course of the fight. So it basically means that as the fight goes on, his ability is going to ramp up and get stronger since he deals magic damage with his ability. All right, so now I'm going to get a chance to send that item back over to Grillo. So he is going to have the option to take a sword or a bow or a gold. And I believe he is going to take the gold from what I remember, which is usually the better option to take here. Now let's just talk briefly about another aspect of the shops. If you look down at the shop, there are units that have different cost amounts associated with them. So you can see that pretty visibly right there. Kiana has a little 2 gold icon next to her. Nidalee has 1 gold. Ezreal has 1 gold. So different units come at different cost tiers in this game. Generally speaking, you have 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost, 4 cost, and 5 cost units. As the game goes on and as you level up, you will get access to more of the higher cost units. These units are just better units to build teams around. They have higher base stats. They have more powerful abilities. The early game units generally have abilities that are kind of minor. Like Ezreal is kind of the unit I'm playing as my main damage dealer right now. Whenever his mana bar fills up, he shoots out a little mystic shot. And, it deals damage. It's not terrible or anything. He actually gets additional attack speed every time he fires off one of them. But it's certainly not like a game-changing ability, whereas some of the more advanced, more expensive units have abilities that hit the entire board and can delete entire teams, that sort of thing. So you want to get access to the more powerful units as the game goes on. And this is another place of where your level comes into effect. What level you are influences what units you see in the shop. So not only is it good to increase your level so that you can play more units. Remember, For every level, that's how many units you get to play. It also increases your shop odds to find more expensive units. So if you look on the little interface right there, right above the Lee Sin and the Malphite graphics, right now I'm actually looking over at Grillo's board right now as he's playing into a Cannoneer build here. Well, this is a bad time for me to comment on this. This is pre-recorded footage. There we go. Now we're back to my board. You see the little percentages there, 45%, 33%, 20%, 2%, 0%. So those are the percentages to find the units at each respective cost tier. So 45% to find 1 cost units, 33% to find 2 cost units, etc. Note that I only have 2% odds to find the 2% odds to find the 4 cost units. I have 0% odds to find the 5 cost units. So you need to get to a higher level before you can even find some of these units. Otherwise, you just can't even get access to them, which makes sense. You wouldn't want people getting access to the very strongest units at the start of the game. So I am going to look to continue trying to level. I'm going to go ahead and level right here. Go ahead and level to level 6. And I'm going to put in Olaf because he's going to make 2 more traits for me. He's going to make the Warrior trait and the Scale Scorn trait. Warrior trait means that units that have the Warrior ability have a chance to deal additional damage on their auto attacks. That applies to Yone, the guy I'm hovering right now, and then also Olaf. Scale Scorn also means that Olaf and Braum will deal additional magic damage on their abilities. Now, those are not key traits for me. Again, the Mirage trait is really the key trait I'm playing through right now. But, having more traits in certainly doesn't hurt, so it's not a bad thing to have them in. Leveling to 6 here means I get to play the additional unit, and it also does mean that I have better odds to find those 4 cost units. It goes from 2% to 5%, which is a pretty big jump overall, so I'm definitely hoping that that will be something that I'm able to continue here. The other big thing is I'm currently on a win streak, and this is actually really important in terms of the in-game economy, which I'm going to talk more about in a minute. There's a little fire emblem next to my name, right next to the gold total, where it says it's 4 with a little flame, and now you can see it went up to 5. So I'm on a full win streak right now. That actually produces quite a bit of extra income for me. The way that the in-game income system works is you get additional gold. Oh, by the way, here's our augment choice. I'm going to get another Mirage-based augment here. I have taken Hallucinate. Mirage champions take 90% less damage for the first 6 seconds of combat. So this means that Mirage units played up on the front line are going to take less damage, like a lot less damage, 90% less damage for the first 6 seconds of combat. And so this is a nice choice if I'm playing into this Mirage trait. I'm like heavily going vertical Mirage in this game. Anyways, I was saying, so the way the in-game economy works is you always get a set amount of gold at the start of each round. You always get 5 gold. So that no matter what happens, you'll always get 5 gold at the start of a round. So you can, buy champions, that sort of thing. In addition to that, you're going to get gold based on your win streak or loss streak. And so as you win or lose rounds in a row, you will gain additional gold based on how long that streak is. So because I've won 5 rounds in a row, I'm actually getting the maximum streak gold right now, which is to get 3 extra gold per round. And that makes a big difference, as you can well imagine. If you're getting, 8 gold instead of 5 gold, that's a pretty big increase. That's, a 60% increase over the base amount. So going on a long win streak or on a long loss streak actually can be quite good for your economy. Now, the problem is when you go on a long loss streak is you're taking damage every round. You can see that all the health totals are on the right-hand side of the screen. Grillo and I have 92 health. Here in the 2-player mode, you share a health bar, which is not the case in the single-player mode, but you share a health bar. And of course, as that goes down, if your health bar gets to 0, then you're out of the game and it's over. If you win a round overwhelmingly, you deal more damage to players. If it's like a really close loss, you don't deal as much damage. You only deal a small amount of damage. So, it's not like one of the tricks in this game can sometimes be like if you sometimes want to lose rounds because you're on like a loss streak and it'll give you additional income, but you would prefer to lose them as closely as possible. It's kind of one of the interesting things about this game is at the higher levels of play, sometimes people are like very good at like narrowly losing rounds to keep a loss streak going. But if you can, obviously it's better to just keep win streaking. Win streaking is always better than loss streaking, like from a purely theoretical standpoint. But it is, of course, hard to just keep win streaking round after round after round because that's, that you have to be strong. You have to actually be winning the rounds. You're also seeing me go over to reinforce Grillo's board. So I mentioned here in the 2-player mode, if you win a round quickly, you can go assist your partner. And so I've been able to come and assist Grillo's board on a number of rounds here because I actually have have a pretty strong board here. In the common parlance for Teamfight Tactics, I am high rolling to a pretty good degree. I hit Leona 2-star effortlessly. I hit Nunu 2-star effortlessly. This Mirage emblem with the duelist version of Mirage on Ezreal is actually quite strong early in the game. So yeah, I actually have a pretty good setup here. So we have another carousel here. Remember, there's always a carousel in the middle of each stage. And I should mention that the order in which the carousel goes is basically the reverse order of health. If you have lower health, then you go earlier on the carousel. If you have more health, you go later on the carousel. I was one of the last ones to pick. I went ahead and chose a belt, and that is going to combine with the belt that was already on Nunu to make a Warmog, which is just an item that gives him a ton of health. It gives him plus 1,000 health. That's actually a big deal because the way Nunu's ability works is he deals true damage if he has more health than his target. So it's actually quite a good item on Nunu. And of course, it also makes him tankier because he just has more health. Remember, he also gets that Mirage benefit from the Augment hallucination, which means that he takes 90% less damage for the first couple seconds of combat. All right, well, I did want to mention one other thing about the in-game economy that's very important, and that is the third component of how you get money. So I mentioned before, you always get 5 gold at the start of a round. That's always going to get that no matter what. Then you get gold based on winning or losing. I'm on this big win streak, so that's helping me a lot. The other thing that dictates how much money you get is how much money you have in the bank. So you see I have the little 52 gold next to the 8-win icon. Every 10 gold you have in the bank gives you +1 income at the start of the next round, and that is capped at 50. At 50 gold, you stop getting more. You start getting more income from having money in the bank. So like being at 65 does nothing. It stops when you get to 50. So that's why you're seeing me dump some of this extra money into leveling up here. So you can potentially get, usually, unless you have like an economic augment, typically the amount of income that you can get maxes out at 13. So that's 5 gold from having the 5 gold you always get at the start of each round, 5 gold from having 50 gold in the bank, and then you can get up to 3 gold if you're on a long win streak or loss streak. So 13 is typically the most that you can get. Now, what you saw me do there is I went ahead and leveled to level 7, and the reason why I do that is so I can just play another unit. It's going to increase my shop odds. Now I have 15% odds to get the 4-cost units in my shop, and now I also have 1% odds to find the 5-cost units. So that's not likely, but it can happen. It'd certainly be awesome if it did, if I could find the one 5-cost unit in particular I'm looking for, who's Yasuo. But the other thing is I'm trying to level aggressively to try to preserve win streak. And this is one of the kind of more advanced concepts that you'll see in Teamfight Tactics is they generally refer to this in the community as playing for tempo. The idea being that you want to, preserve a win streak if you're on a win streak. It's worth trying to sacrifice some economy to do that if it helps you maintain the win streak. So like I dropped down from 50 gold in the bank to 40 gold in the bank. Obviously, I lose 1 gold of income by doing that. But by the same token, if it allows me to keep win streaking, it is absolutely worth it to do that. Like that's totally worth it to lose 1 gold worth of income if in exchange I continue to get 3 gold worth of income from maintaining my win streak. And the other thing it does is it puts pressure on the lobby, because if you keep winning rounds, you're dealing damage to other players, you're reducing the total health pool that's in the game, you're shortening the game overall by increasing kind of the pace at which the game takes place. So as I said, it's a little bit more of an advanced strategy type thing, but it definitely does matter. And it's helpful to try to push tempo and just put pressure on the rest of the lobby. And that's what Grillo and I are doing in this lobby. We're kind of playing from ahead and trying to hurt the other players in the lobby as much as possible. Alrighty, so now we've hit the beginning of stage 4. This is where people start moving into their endgame boards. So one thing you've seen me do throughout the game is I've been spending this extra money I have on leveling. I've talked a lot about that, but I haven't really explained where that is. On the left side of the interface, right below where it says level 7, there's 2 little things that'll say buy XP, 4 gold, and then refresh 2 gold. So I've been doing the buy XP over and over and over again. You can spend 4 gold to gain 4 XP. You always get 2 experience at the start of every round, so that's guaranteed. And then you can pay 4 gold for 4 XP to get another 4 experience. So I've been doing that very aggressively. I've been leveling very quickly throughout this game. And right now I'm going to try to get to level 8. And then on level 8, I'm going to try to start to make my end game board. And like that's the plan right now. So I'm already like halfway to level 8. One of the standard timings to do that is after the stage 4 carousel. So that's where I'm going to look to do. Obviously, if I can keep winning rounds right now, that's just fantastic. I'm continuing to get 13 gold per round. I'm on a 10-match winning streak. Grillo is also on a big win streak. So this is really good for us. We do have one final augment, though, and this is a Prismatic Augment. So we actually get very, very powerful offerings here. This is like you get a stronger than usual choice. The first two were gold, the third one was prismatic. You also get one reroll. So throughout the game, you get 3 augment choices. You can choose to reroll one of those 3 augment choices as the game goes on. And I had saved my reroll. I used it on this last one here. I was able to take Celestial Blessing, which is an augment that allows all of your units to heal for some of the damage dealt. I believe it's like 30% of the damage you deal gets converted into healing. This is really good for me because I have not itemized any healing in my comp. There are certain items you can make that'll cause you to get that healing effect, but I did not build any of them, so this is a fantastic choice for me because, as I said, all my units are going to heal as they deal damage, and it's going to be really good against assassin-based team comps. Like this one right here, this person is playing Rengar, who is an assassin. Rengar is going to dive on my back line. You're going to see him jump on Ezreal somewhere around here. See, he jumps on Ezreal, but look, Ezreal is healing for some of the damage he's dealing, and that's going to allow him to survive this, where otherwise he just dies to Rengar, but because he's got that Celestial Blessing healing, he's going to able to tank that damage, survive, and then it's like, oh, can he manage to win this fight? I would really like to have my win streak continue, but he gets disarmed by Kiana, and that close. That close. It was worth quite a bit of money to win that. However, that person is already level 8 and they've already rolled down to 0 gold. Now, how did I know that they had rolled down to 0 gold? Well, there's a little interface indicator. If you look on the left side of the screen, right where my augments are, right where that little dragon's head is, you can see that there's like 5 gold coins on the side of the screen. And that's an indicator of how much gold you have in the bank. I am over 50 gold, so I show up with 5 gold coins there. When you hit someone else in the PvP rounds, you will see the same thing on their side of the screen. That person that I hit was level 8, and they had no little gold coins next to their character. So that meant that they already rolled 100% of their gold, and that meant that they had nothing in the bank. So that was a sign that basically they had already gone all in, like they had spent all their money trying to get stronger, and they just narrowly beat me, whereas I had not spent really any of my money to get stronger. So that's a great sign, because it means that long term I'm probably going to outscale them. So what do I mean by spending their money to get stronger? Well, in addition to spending money on experience, there is another option. The little thing that says refresh 2 gold. You can pay 2 gold to refresh the shop. And it's just like the start of a new round. You get a new set of champions. I often call it a flop of champions, like you're playing a hand in poker. You just get a whole new set of champions using those same shop odds that you see. So you can pay 2 gold to refresh the shop and get a new set of different options. So if you're been win streaking like I've been doing here, then you don't really need to do that. But let's say your game's not going so well. Well, at some point, you can't just sit there and bleed out health until you die. At some point, you have to say, look, I'm going to lose this game if I don't get stronger right now. I need to just pay money to refresh the shop, get stronger, even if that means that like it's hurting me long term because I'm not going to be able to push to like level 8 to level 9. I just need to pay to refresh the shop and get stronger immediately, or else I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be out of the game. So that's what some of these other players are doing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So I actually get pretty lucky. I managed to find Deja, who is the Mirage Dragon, immediately here, and now I'm going to go ahead and start putting items on Deja. I actually had Olaf holding one of those items, and then whoops, I accidentally put the Jewel Gauntlet on the wrong unit. So I'm going to go ahead and sell my Sejuani. And right now I'm looking for different options. Now I've still got this Mirage emblem to put on somebody. I'm going to have to think about who I want to put it on. So I'm like looking here, and then I was like, all right, I'll just toss in this Soraka for right now. But I think long term I'm going to want to play this Idis, which is the yellow dragon that I just found, because that'll give me the option to put this Mirage emblem on the Idis. That'll form another really strong frontliner for me. Idis is basically the tank dragon. Does not deal any damage at all, but is really good at soaking up damage. And I can make use of this tank dragon along with the Mirage emblem, which means that they'll take 90% less damage for the first 6 seconds of combat. And that should be pretty good. All right, more importantly, though, I found Deja, who is the Wind Dragon, and that is the unit that I just transferred all my items over to. So remember, the Mirage trait in this game is Duelist Dexterity. You get extra attack speed whenever you use an ability. Or no, excuse me, you get a stacking attack speed every time you auto-attack. So I'm going to move out of some of these units. I don't think I need this Soraka. Let's see, do I hold the Soraka for right now? I can't remember. I'm going to go ahead and put the Mirage emblem on Idis. I've got this, and then I get this extra item that I can put on Yone. And then I've also got some of these leftover items here. But now I'm at 7 Mirage, and now I just need to find the legendary Mirage unit, who is Yasuo, who will cap me out at 8 Mirage. Normally you can't make it to 8 Mirage. You need a Mirage emblem to get there. But because I have that Mirage emblem for +1 Mirage, I can get up to 8 Mirage, which is just going to give me absolutely absurd amounts of attack speed. As far as Deja, the Wind Dragon goes, her ability, basically, she deals magic damage on her auto attacks, and then when her mana bar fills up, she shoots out this big wave of wind energy. And of course, because I have Celestial Blessing Augment, I'm going to be healing on every use of those abilities, which is super duper nice. Deja deals magic damage, so that's why I have Archangel's Staff, which gives me additional ability power over the course of the fight. And I also have Jeweled Gauntlet that's going to allow that to critically strike. Now here we get one more kind of weird addition to the game. We get something called a Treasure Dragon. And this always happens at the end of stage 4. You will get the option to get some additional items. You can reroll if you don't like what's in the shop. I get some utility items here, a Shroud of Stillness, a Banshee's Claw, and I was like, this is good enough. I'll just go ahead and take these. So we're going to get some additional items to play around with here. I also get a Targeting Dummy, which is just a non-unit that doesn't attack, just kind of sits there, so can just sit there and soak up damage in the backlines. But now I'm also going to try to make use of these additional items here. I'm going to make this Shroud of Stillness, which increases the mana cost of any enemies that get caught in that at the end of the round, or excuse me, at the start of the rounds. And then I'm also going to look to make, what is it here? I think I wanted to make a Bloodthirster and then make use of this Giant Spell as well. So I should talk a little bit about these dragon units. I've talked about Idas, who is basically the tank dragon, and then I've talked about Deja, the wind dragon. Well, how do dragons function here? Because they are the featured units here in set 7, and also here in set 7.5. I am having Soraka just hold items for a future Yasuo, and now I'm going to look to go to level 9 because I think I'm strong enough to get to level 9. The dragons were really the featured unit in this particular set, and in the first half of the set, in set 7, there was a big restriction, which was that teams could only play one dragon at a time, and this was a pretty dumb idea. It was probably the worst idea in the set. You could only play one dragon at a time. Basically, dragons are units that get additional stats. So they have higher base stats. They have like higher health, higher armor, magic resistance. They deal more damage, that sort of thing. But each one of them takes up 2 slots on your board. So like that's the big restriction there, is the dragons eat up 2 slots. So like Idas is taking up 2 slots, Deja is taking up 2 slots. And in exchange, they get stronger stats. The other thing that they get is they count as 3 ranks for one of their traits. So Deja is the Wind Dragon. Deja gives me 3 ranks of the Mirage trait. So even though I have, I have 5 Mirage units on there right now. I have Deja, I have Nunu, I have Leona, and I have Yone. And do I have that math correct there? Unfortunately, I'm looking at Grillo's board right now. Let's see, I have Leona. Oh, and then I have Idas, who counts as +1. So that's 5 units, but I'm getting 7 ranks because I get 3 ranks of the trait for having Deja in there. So that's kind of the thing, is they get higher base stats, and then they count as 3 ranks of a trait. Idas counts as 3 ranks of Shimmer Scale, which gives you additional items. You get these Shimmer Scale items that have various economic effects. They all produce gold to some degree or another. So yeah, that's kind of what the dragons do. And the big innovation here in this set is you can play more than one dragon on your team at the same time, as opposed to the first half of the set that had this very silly restriction that only one dragon could be on the board at a time. By the way, Deja is just tanking so much damage and healing off Celestial Blessing. Deja did 19,000 damage and beat 2 entire boards there. Absolutely insane. So I'm very happy with how this unit's going, to say the least. Pretty happy with this particular unit. I have a very strong board. Grillo is playing a Cannoneers board, and he's looking pretty good there. So what I did there is I just sent him the Bard I found in my store so he could make Bard 2-star. This is one of the innovations in the 2-player mode. We've got these little icons that look like helmets on our bench. They allow us to send units to one another. And any items that you put on those units will also get transferred. So there's a lot of strategy here in the 2-player mode, whereby you have to think about like not just what you're playing on your board, but also what your partner's playing, and then like when should I try to grab units that my partner might want, and like when should I try to send them over to the other board, because you only get a limited number of how many of those units you can send from one board to the other. So we really like the 2-player mode because it introduces just a lot more depth of strategy. We kind of would like, by the way, here's the first time I lose in a while. I actually lost that round pretty badly. We actually kind of wish that Riot would push the 2-player mode more, because we think it's just a lot more interesting and more fun than the single-player mode. But yeah, you know, just something that they haven't really chosen to focus on. So here's another carousel. Note that as we get later in the game, instead of little item components, we actually get full items on the carousel. I would very much like Yasuo, and guess what? Grillo is going to be an awesome partner here. He's going to take the Yasuo with the intention not of playing Yasuo himself, but with the intention of just sending that Yasuo over to me. He also has a Cavalier emblem that he himself is not planning on using, so he is going to put that Cavalier emblem that he doesn't really need onto the Yasuo and then send it to me, and then it will pass over to me as well. That Morelos that's on the unit is also going to pass over to me as well. So there is the Yasuo. He just sent it over to me. So boop, I'm going to get the Yasuo. Now I can drop Soraka, who I don't really need, and now I can play Yasuo. And now I have 8 Mirage. You can see the little prismatic rainbow-colored icon over there on the left-hand side. So I'm going to give Yasuo a Cavalier Spat. Then I'm going to give him 2 attack damage, physical damage items. I'm going to give him the Bloodthirster and also the Infinity Edge. Bloodthirster is a good item on him. Infinity Edge is kind of like a meh item on him. It's not amazing because he doesn't really do that much stuff with crit chance. But, you know, this is 8 Mirage Yasuo with a Cav Spat and Bloodthirster and the Duelist version. That Yasuo is going to be absolutely insane. So my board just attacks at a ridiculous rate now that I have 8 Mirage. I believe it's each time your Mirage units auto-attack, they get 30% faster attack speed. Here you see my recording. I tabbed out for a second, but this is just this is just a pretty cranked team comp. One of the reasons why I wanted to showcase this. This was a fun game that really was able to put something pretty strong together. And hey, look, there's a Yasuo in my store. I find one Yasuo at a 4% odds. Now again, I'm going to go to level 9 after the upcoming minion round, and then at level 9, I'm just going to roll it down and see if I can hit 2-star Yasuo. And see if I can hit. I'm actually getting pretty close to 3-star Yone. I have 7 Yones. Grillo's also been grabbing Nunus for me as well. So look, he actually has. I have 4 Nunus and he has 5 Nunus. So if we use our Sens and combine them together, we can actually make a 3-star Nunu, which I believe we're going to do after this round. We didn't have time to try to put it together for this round, but I think we do it for the next round because I can send a 1-star Nunu to Grillo, and then I'll combine with the units on his board into a 2-star Nunu, and then he can double send me the Nunus back, and then we'll have a 3-star Nunu, which will be pretty awesome. My Nunu is a pretty strong unit, especially if I can get up to 3-star. Nunu is going to get a whole bunch of additional health. Now, we have knocked this other team down to 1 HP. One of the particularities of the double up mode is you cannot eliminate a team unless they're on 1 HP. So, like, no matter how low their health might be, I think they were at 3 HP and we won both of our rounds. Obviously, they would have been knocked out normally, but that does not end up happening there because you can't get knocked below 1 HP unless you are already at 1 HP. And yeah, there we go. There's the 3-star Nunu. So you wanted to get a chance to show a 3-star unit here in this board. I didn't really have much to do with this glove. Oh, I should have put this glove on the Idis. That would have made a Banshee's Claw. I should have done that just because this game was about to end. Oh, well. So yeah, we're getting into the end stage of this game. You can't knock somebody out unless they're on 1 HP, but you kind of get like this one last chance to try to win. But at this point, if either of those people on 1 HP loses, then the game is over. So it's not enough for one of them to win a round. They both have to win every round now for the rest of the game. All right, so I'm going to go to level 9, and now we're just going to roll it down. We're looking for Yasuo. I'm going to toss in Hecarim to give me another Cavalier rank. There's more Dejas. It does not feel like I'm realistically going to hit Deja 3-star in this game. Oh, I went past an Idis there. That's pretty bad. I should have grabbed that Idis. I'm trying to make Idis 2-star. Missed one in my roll down there. And then I'm looking to play. I went ahead and tossed in Bard. Bard's just kind of a useful unit overall. And then I was trying to figure out what I could do with this glove. I should have put it on the Idis. Actually, I could have reforged it there. I have a reforger as one of the items I've got on my bench there. I could have looked to reforge it and see if I could get something more useful. Like another item to combine on Idis would be pretty nice there. But like again, my board is just, I have so much attack speed from having the 8 Mirage Duelist version. Deja attacks incredibly fast. Yasuo attacks incredibly fast. That Yasuo is just not going to die. Cavalier Yasuo with this much attack speed and a Bloodthirster is just not dying in these fights. Nunu, now that he's 3-star, just does not die either. Nunu's running around eating people. Yasuo's chopping people up. It's not that close. So I'm going to win my board. I'm going to go over to Grillo's board, and then we're going to finish off the other team as well. So we'll win both halves of the fight as Yasuo continues charging around. Nunu's still eating people. And that's going to do it for this one. So a pretty comfortable game, but I mostly wanted to use this video, as I said, as an introduction to talk a little bit about Teamfight Tactics and also introduce some of the mechanics in set 7.5. I'm optimistic that this is going to be a pretty good set. Dropping the restriction that you could only have one dragon in at a time really improved the gameplay a lot. So I'm optimistic that this set's going to be fun to play, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more good games out of this one. Well, in any case, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And, hopefully we'll see some of you around for this set. Should be a lot of fun. Until then, hope you guys are having a great week. Take care, folks.